is not debatable is that we are on the banks of the Ohio River tonight, Synergy Field in downtown Cincinnati, Ohio. The 56th meeting between these two AFC division rivals, the Houston Oilers and the Cincinnati Bengals. That series dead even, 27-27-1. And these two teams enter tonight's fray trailing Pittsburgh. Steelers play tomorrow night. They are 3-1. The Oilers 2-2. Baltimore lost today. Jacksonville did as well. And Cincinnati a 1-3 mark. Lee Johnson will kick off, and he does so to Mel Gray, and a touchback to open the game. Just a few moments ago, Buffalo's Steve Christie, a game-winning field goal in overtime from 40 yards out. That hands the Colts their first defeat. There are no undefeated teams remaining in the NFL. Chris Chandler, in his second season as the Oilers starting quarterback, leads the Oiler offense on the field. Last week, this team had 3 turnovers in their first 3 possessions. Fell behind to Pittsburgh 17-zip in the opening 7 minutes and played catch-up for the rest of the night. Chandler will throw on first down into the flat, caught by Eddie George, and the rookie from Ohio State moves it out to the 25-yard line. Check the backs and receivers. Chris Sanders, Lewis the tight end, Davis at the other wideout, and in the backfield, the H-back is Frank Wycheck and Eddie George, the running back. And up front, it's Hopkins and Matthews, Stepnoski 4 times in the Pro Bowl, Donnelly and Irv Eatman at right tackle. Second down 5. Eddie George slips through left tackle out to the 28. That will leave a 3rd and 2. And defensively, a change at the last minute at left end. Kenny Davidson gets the start in place of John Copeland. Reoccurrence of a hamstring injury, and Copeland is on the inactive list tonight. And the linebackers, Francis Tovar, Rico McDonald. And in the secondary, Ambrose and Spencer at the corners. 2 new Bengals, Walker and Orlando, a former Oiler, at the safeties. 3rd and 2. Double back set. Rodney Thomas is checked in. This is Thomas in motion. The handoff. Ronnie Harmon has also slipped into the backfield, and Harmon gets the carry for the first down to the 33-yard line.
And Verne, Ronnie Harmon still remains one of the great third down players in the National Football League. Primarily a receiver on third downs, but not afraid to use him on the run and the inside draws and traps as he did right there. An incredibly effective player on third downs.
And he picks up the first down at the 32. Chris Sanders goes wide left. Eddie George back in the backfield. Lewis, the tight end. They hand it off to George. Wycheck, the lead blocker, and Eddie George out across the 35 to the 36 into the hands of Steve Tovar.
You know, Verne, as we watch Eddie George tonight, there's lots of running backs around the league who break the tackles of defensive backs, but you're going to watch tonight as Eddie George breaks defensive lineman tackles. He breaks the tackles of linebackers and, of course, the defensive backs as well. This is a powerful, powerful runner with very good vision. It's a good combination.
Had a season high of 143 yards on the ground in a recent win over Jacksonville. That included a 76-yard run. Chandler looking left all the way. Has a little bit of a hassle, and it's behind Chris Sanders, the intended receiver, at the 45-yard line. And Jimmy Spencer, number 22, free agent signee from New Orleans, made the defensive play.
There's some great matchups in tonight's ball game between wide receivers and defensive backs for both teams. That time was Chris Sanders against Jimmy Spencer. On the other side, they have Willie Davis going against Ashley Ambrose. And when you flip it over, there's some great matchups. And that's going to have a lot to do with how this game goes and who's going to win this game, who wins those battles on the corners.
3rd down 6. Blitz. Chandler retreats across the middle. Caught. Now let's see if Harmon slips the tackle. Struggles for the first down. It'll be very close, I believe.
Oh, he's got it.
He got it.
Yeah,
you know what? His initial forward progress is where they're going to mark it.
I want to tell you, Ronnie Harmon, we just talked about him on third down. 2 third down plays. One was on a run. This one on the pass. And he's a great individual route runner. I mean, I'm always surprised when people try to guard him with a linebacker as they did there with McDonald. Then takes a big shot by a safety, breaks a tackle, and then dives for the first down. That's a heck of a reception and run by Ronnie Harmon.
And the point at which he made the catch was the point ruled forward progress. That was enough for the first down. Second, third down conversion. They'll have to hurry. They do beat the play clock. Here's Chandler, incomplete. Little slant pattern intended for Willie Davis, number 86. Jeff Fisher in his second full year as the head coach of the Oilers. He is the second youngest head coach, and the youngest head coach is his counterpart on the far sideline, Dave Shula, in the final year of a 5-year contract, and safe to say under some pressure here.
And he has admitted that he's under pressure and understands that every coach who's 1 and 3 is under pressure.
Second and 10. Bengals come up to play bump and run. They may be blitzing again. Yep, they're coming. The handoff to George, and he's met at the line of scrimmage. Probably scraped out 3 feet. It'll be 3rd and 9. Sam Tovar, number 58, made the tackle. Tovar, as a senior at Ohio State, played host to a young recruit from Fork Union Military Academy. The guy's name was Eddie George. We asked Steve over the weekend if he remembered Eddie George. He said, not the Heisman Trophy winner. What I remember is the guy who fumbled 3 times against Illinois as a freshman. Eddie George said, yeah, he remembered that too. Harmon back in, 3rd and 9. Corner blitz this time. Chandler with good protection, deep left side. Mix up on the route. Gracie Walker, number 27, defending.
Yeah, there has been some good coverage early in this game by the Cincinnati Bengal defensive backs, because there was some great protection there for Chris Chandler. Had plenty of time. They pick up the blitz again. You can see the inside blitz and the corner blitz also. Ronnie Harmon this time picks up the blitz. We've seen him run for a first down, catch a first down, then he picks up a blitz. But good coverage once again by the Bengals.
Reggie Roby in his 14th year, first with the Oilers. Punts it very high. Corey Sawyer is the deep man. And he grabs it. Oh, boy.
The heck of a catch.
I'm not so sure about the wisdom of that one.
No.
Yeah. That almost proved elusive. I would venture a guess that Sawyer's heart is beating a little strongly right now. Time is called. By his own admission, is struggling a little bit here in the early going of this season, but he has not struggled against the Houston Oilers. He got his second start ever 2.5 years ago against Houston and lit it up for better than 300 yards. He hasn't slowed off since then.
Well, they love the matchup because the Oilers love to blitz. They get a lot of one-on-one coverage with Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott. He throws it up, they jump up and catch it.
Garrison Hurst gets the start at tailback this week. That does not please Kajana Carter. And here is the handoff to Garrison Hurst, and he goes over right guard, moves it out across the 15, and is down at the 16-yard line. Up front, let's take a look at who's in the lineup. Pickens and Darnay Scott at the wideouts. Tony McGee is the tight end. Hurst and Jeff Cothran in the backfield, and the offensive line. This has been a mixed-up bunch in the first couple of weeks. This will be the second consecutive week these 5 have started, anchored by Joe Walter at right tackle. Double tight end set now. Troy Sadowski comes in on second down. And Blake looks left all the way, finds his tight end, Tony McGee. First down, Cincinnati. Tony McGee, who has started now 52 straight games. In other words, every game in which he's worn a uniform of the Cincinnati Bengals. Defensively for the Oilers, with a 2-2 mark, they will line up with a very young defensive line. Cook, Walker, Henry Ford, and Robert Young. The linebackers, they miss Al Smith in the middle. He's on injured reserve. And the secondary may be the best in the NFL, particularly at the corners. 1st and 10. Blake back, rush coming. Deep across the middle, Tony McGee drops it. Catchable.
Yeah, catchable and a very good read, first of all, by Jeff Blake, and then a throw. A little change of pace early defensively by the Oilers. McGee's down here at the tight end, number 82. Double coverage on the outside. Big gaping hole for the tight end. Kind of swats at it. Should have been caught. Good block, pick on a blitz pickup by Jeff Cawthorn, the fullback. Against this blitzing team, your backs better be able to block linebackers.
Double tight end set again, 2nd down and 10. Twin receivers to the right side. And Blake flushed right. He has the capability of running. And this time he is forced out of bounds over on the far side by Gary Walker, number 96.
Well, you know, he's had big games throwing the ball against these Oilers, but you mentioned as he scrambled there that they want him to run the ball more. I mean, Jeff Fisher was saying to us last night that, boy, he's killed us running the ball as well. And Bruce Kozlett, the offensive coordinator, says we're not doing those things like we did last year. You know, they had flashes of real offensive brilliance a year ago, but they have not been able to carry it over this season.
On 3rd down, Eric Bieniemy makes his first appearance in the lineup, number 21. And Jeff Cawthorn is back on the field as well. 3rd down and 11. 5-man rush into the flat. It is caught by Bieniemy, but that will be way short of the first down at the 34-yard line. And Joe Bowden, of course, indicating that the play was short.
Now, these Houston Oiler linebackers are awfully good. The defensive backfield is the best part of their defense, but these linebackers have to play well tonight in the passing game and in the blitzing game.
Mel Gray, 6 returns thus far this year. Modest return average by his standards. And here is Lee Johnson, who is having a terrific season, averaging better than 50 yards a punt. This one, returnable. Here's been the problem. At the age of 35, look at him go.
Oh.
And there is a player down at the 35-yard line. Greg Truitt, the snapper, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Truitt went down as soon as the ball was snapped and contact was made.
I think he did this on his own. I mean, all the blocking looked like he was supposed to go right. He goes on his own to the left. 43 yards later, he steps out of bounds.
Draw play on 1st down and 10. Eddie George, big hole. Good downfield block, but it may be an illegal block. George is out of bounds at the 10, but this one might come back. By the way, Greg Truitt walked off by himself, and it appeared that he was poked in the left eye. And this play is coming back. Jerry Austin is our referee tonight.
Holding number 81 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat 1st down.
Chris Sanders guilty of the hold.
Yeah, you know, I saw Chris Sanders block the guy. I thought he actually cut him. Right here, number 81. That is not a hold.
Well, he had to grab his jersey.
The debate goes on. I don't think that was anywhere close to being a hold.
All of a sudden, we've switched sides here. I've taken an Oiler perspective. And
you really thought that was a hold, huh?
No, I did not think it was a hold.
Okay, then we agree.
Oh, that's right, we do. I feel strongly both ways, and these pickets hurt. Sitting on this fence. 1st down. Eddie George jammed at the 31-yard line.
You know, one thing about Eddie George and
Bracy Walker and one of the Oilers get into a little bit of a skirmish. I'm sorry, Pat.
No, the Oilers have a penchant for getting into skirmishes.
Well,
last week, right?
They have a penchant for going into their pocketbook as well.
Yeah, this is what happens. There are some very, very fierce rivalries in this division. The Steelers and the Oilers for one, the Bengals and the Steelers, and these two guys getting after it early as well.
Would you concur perhaps that was a hold?
That was, absolutely.
2nd and 5. No score. Blitz. Handoff. Big hole. 1st down inside the 20. I sound like Red Cashin.
Hey, 2nd time they've run that draw play on this series. 1st time they called the hold on Chris Sanders after a big round. Successful run as number 58 right here overruns on a blitz. Overruns the draw. It is a good play call when you're expecting the blitz, because sometimes the blitz runs right by the ball carrier, and both linebackers ran by Eddie George.
A quick 34 yards on 6 carries for Eddie George. 1st and 10 in the scoreless 1st quarter. Early goes in motion to the left. Draw play again. Here's Eddie George. Gets a little bit of a block. And then Tim Johnson, number 90, falls on top of him. James Francis was the first man there, number 50. Tim Johnson signed this summer. Played in the league for many years with the Washington Redskins, and his Bengal teammates telling us he's really helped in that defensive line playing next to Big Daddy Wilkinson.
Yeah, made Wilkinson a much better player. Verne, down here inside the 20, this Bengal defense really likes to blitz. And that's when you run crossing routes, screens, and sometimes draws.
Second down and 5. They have the draw play going again, and George slips another tackle. And he's got it first and goal at the 9-yard line.
He's one of those momentum runners, Eddie George. Once he gets that momentum going, gets up a little bit of steam, he is very difficult to bring down with the initial defender. And one more time, 3 times they've run the draw. Wilkinson gets hooked, and then Tovar brings him down with a good tackle.
Second time that Tovar has tackled his former teammate Eddie George. We talked about those 3 fumbles as a freshman against Illinois. Eddie George said he thought that game really made him a football player. He learned a lot from adversity. Here's Chandler on a line incomplete in between his 2 potential receivers, Davis and Sanders. There's Willie Davis. Chris Chandler in his 9th year in the league. Davis, of course, his first season now with the Houston Oilers, a team he killed in the playoffs a couple of years ago when he played for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Jeff Fisher. Second and goal. Derek Russell in as a third wideout. He's in the slot left. Good protection. Ball is fired and incomplete. Intended for Sanders. Ashley Ambrose, number 33, was close for a pick, and he's got 3 so far this season.
Yeah, you know, good matchups again. We saw it earlier with Jimmy Spencer, the other corner for the Bengals. This time it's Ambrose and Sanders. I thought he was going to catch it. It was well delivered. A lot of bumping and grinding going on. That's a ball he really should have caught. Sanders caught one last week in the end zone. They ruled offensive pass interference, which really wasn't. This one should have been a touchdown.
Third and goal. Excuse me, Pat. That's right. Ronnie Harmon back in the lineup. Cincinnati's bringing everybody. And they've got Chandler at the 25. Rico McDonald gets his first full sack of 1996.
You know, if you know a team's going to blitz, and the Oilers knew that the Bengals are going to blitz inside the 20-yard line. He's going to from the left side of your screen. McDonald's number 56 in the dark jersey. I mean, you have to make him pay. It starts with protection. It looks like Ronnie Harmon missed him that time. He picked up a blitz earlier. Because if you pick him up, you have man-for-man coverage and a chance for a touchdown. But he ran around the blocker, comes up with a big sack.
10th sack of the season. That brings on Al Del Greco. Roby will hold it, and Del Greco kicks it from 40. Al Del Greco is now 9 of 11 in the 1996 season, and he gives the Oilers a 3-0 lead. First quarter. Yard Del Greco field goal. 3:54 remaining in the first quarter, and Chris Chandler chatting with Derek Russell. Chandler playing as well as he ever has, Pat, in his 9th season now.
And I think it started in February when Jeff Fisher said, hey, you are my quarterback. You're going to be my starting quarterback. And then he's got the best surrounding cast that he's had in his 9-year career.
Second year with the Oilers. Here's Del Greco's kick. David Dunn drifts over. That one will go into the end zone. Boy, that was close.
Yeah.
And Del Greco saves 20 yards by getting into the end zone. Time is called once again, and we'll be back with the Cincinnati possession after this. 3-0 count now. 3:49 to go first quarter, and the Bengals get the ball for the second time. Eric Bieniemy opens this series in the backfield. 3-wide receiver set. Darnay Scott in the slot to the left side. And they hand it off to Bieniemy. And he circles out of trouble, and look at the block by Jeff Blake. It all didn't amount to it much, but Blake played a pretty good block, Pat.
I tell you how it got started, though. Gary Walker, the defensive lineman for the Oilers, just blew through the offensive line block and just pushed his guy right back into Bieniemy. He pushes Tootin right back there, and Tootin's a large man. Bieniemy kind of keeps his balance and really made a pretty good run after what should have been about a 9-yard loss.
And then Baron Worthen, number 52, caught up with him. It'll be 2nd down and 11. Blake, draw play, Bieniemy, and Garrison Hurst. And here goes Hurst. Out across the 40.
Followed a good block by Willie Anderson, number 71, their #1 draft pick out of Auburn, who they're slowly pulling in or moving into the lineup. You know, watch over here, the tackle, number 71, Willie Anderson, lead the way for Garrison Hurst. Kind of crushes his man at the line of scrimmage. Good block by Brills, the center, and Garrison Hurst just kind of bobs and weaves his way for a 23-yard gain.
1st down and 10. Backs in the eye. They slip it to the short man. And it's out across the 41. And now let's take a look at the Nick Control scoreboard.
Verne, once again there, the left tackle, Willie Anderson, whom they believe was going to make a really, really good player, had a crushing block on the left side.
2nd down and 5. Quick flip, Carl Pickens. In a little bit of heavy traffic as he crosses the 50, and the Bengals move it closer to the 1st down. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
Now, most defenses play these wide receivers differently. With Carl Pickens, you kind of lay off him a little bit because he doesn't have the speed. He's a physical kind of receiver. You lay off him, and then Darnay Scott on the other side with incredible speed. They try to jam him so he can't get started. But as the Bengals begin to move into scoring territory, they begin to look for Carl Pickens more and more and more.
This one close enough to dictate a measurement, so the chain is brought from the far side of the field.
Just a scooch short?
No, smidgen.
Smidgen. There you go.
Smidgen. Dave Shula, 37 years of age, final year of the contract, a team that was 7-9 last year and really ignited high hopes among what has become an apathetic crowd here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who follow the league, myself included, Verne, to be perfectly honest, I thought the Bengals were going to win this division. They got off to just an awful start. A lot of injuries on the offensive line, but they have to solve their running back problem. And they're going to try to do it with Garrison Hurst tonight. They've been playing Kajana Carter and Garrison Hurst, but they got to pick one guy and feed him the ball a lot.
3rd and officially 1. You saw it's less than 3 inches or so. Quarterback sneak, Blake. And that should be enough to give Cincinnati a fresh set of downs.
I don't think we should call those sneaks because I think everybody knew that he was going to run the ball.
Not a sneak?
No.
What would you call it then?
I'm not sure. Give me some time to think about it. I'll report back in the 3rd quarter.
You have 20 seconds for your rebuttal.
You know, Jeff Blake frustrated, only one pass of 40 yards plus this year when he had so many just a year ago. But things have just not been in sync for this offense so far.
Blake in his 30th consecutive start tonight. 1st down and 10, 3-0. Oilers lead. Blake, little pressure, fires it, and Michael Barrow is there defensively. Knock it incomplete, intended for Garrison Hurst, number 20. Of course, Pat, I'd be interested in your take on the acquisition or the decision to sign Garrison Hurst when he was placed on waivers by the Cardinals.
Well, I think it tells you something that they have some real questions about Kajana Carter's health. I mean, Kajana Carter, there's Kajana Carter right there. He's only in 2 of their games, their 4 games, he has carried the ball less than 8 times, though. And I think he is one of those featured kind of backs. He was at Penn State, a guy that you have to give the ball 15, 20 times before he really has productive runs.
2nd down, 3-step setup. Carl Pickens slips through his hands. That's the 2nd drop tonight.
And when you play this Houston team, you must be able to block the linebackers. This time, Michael Barrow, number 56. And he does get picked up on that left side by Tootin and Brom. So these guys are going to blitz 50% of the time. They blitz on first down. They blitz more than anybody in the league. And to win the game, your backs and guards and tackles have to be able to pick those guys up.
From the 47, 3rd and 10. And they're not blitzing on 3rd down and long. Blake across the middle has his man. Darnay Scott. First down at the 32. For number 86, the 3rd-year man from San Diego State.
And that's a change-up a little bit for Cincinnati, Verne. Remember last night, Chris Dishman was saying, hey, Darnay Scott only runs 2 routes. He runs an out and he runs a go. But this time they have him in the slot and they just work in the middle like a big tight end. Great protection, allows Jeff Blake to step up into the pocket, and he just throws a rocket into Darnay Scott.
Well, we have reached the end of the first of 4 here in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Houston Oilers on top by a 3-0 count. 40-yard field goal by Al Del Greco. Gentleman in this game, Al Smith, middle linebacker of the Houston Oilers, injured in the first game, a loss to Kansas City, and under the rules of the sport that are now in force, he's on injured reserve for the rest of the year.
He's very disappointed about that because he says he's going to be healthy in another 2 or 3 weeks.
Baron Wortham has taken his place at middle linebacker in only his third year rather. And now first down and 10. Jeff Blake. Garrison Hurst is the lone setback now, number 20. Garrison Hurst dances right. And he gets to the 28. James Robertson, number 90, moves over to left end.
Well, the Oilers lead by 3 points here, but as you can see, no passing yards.
That's a pretty awful circle.
I guess you can't see that. I just covered the whole thing up. But no passing yards. Eddie George, good. There's Garrison Hurst.
And Eric Bieniemy takes his place, not Kajana Carter.
Yeah.
Now, we were told that Bieniemy is going to play much more than normal tonight. Blake, nice timing pattern. Carl Pickens is driven out of bounds by Darrell Lewis, but he had enough, I think, for the first down.
Yeah, but you see the cushion they give Carl Pickens. You play off Pickens and you jam Darnay Scott. But when you play off him like this and you get protection and timing like that, you just cannot stop that pass no matter how good you are. And Darrell Lewis, the right corner, number 29, is one of the best. But Carl Pickens is just so strong, teams rarely bump and run it.
Gain of 7 on the last play. First down at the 20 with the Bengals trailing by 3. Houston dancing around. Hasn't been quite as aggressive tonight as they usually are. Here's Blake being chased. Fires it deep, incomplete. Deep in the end zone for Darnay Scott. And a flag down at the 18-yard line. Ugly looking piece of yellow.
Boy, that thing's old. Past the line of scrimmage.
Jerry Austin deferring to his head linesman.
It'll be a loss of down as well as the yardage. Yeah, Jeff Blake, even though he's moving around and running, he can still throw the ball with a lot of velocity.
Illegal forward pass. Number 8, the quarterback, was beyond the line of scrimmage. Loss of down. Second down.
And they move the ball back to the 20, just inside the 25-yard line. It's at the 24.
There's Garrison Hurst. I think it was his left ankle was falling on Verne.
Well, Kajana Carter remains on the bench, and Eric Bieniemy is the setback. Second and 15. That's Sadowski in motion. Blake with a roll to his right, pulls it up, throws it. Oh, nice defensive job by Chris Dishman, number 28. Dishman, Pat, was one of those who told us last night how upset he was about a quote that came from Jeff Blake. Blake was quoted as saying, I know the Houston defense like the back of my hand.
Yeah, well, he was one of them. Chris Dishman was one of them. Jeff Fisher mentioned it to us as well. Again, this is a real battle. That could have been pass interference, quite honestly, on Dishman. I think that one should have been called. But this defense suits his personality perfectly. I mean, aggressive defense, you blitz, you have to have corners that can hold up.
Kajana Carter on the field for the first time tonight. He goes out in pass patterns, deep across the middle, incomplete for McGee. At the 10-yard line, ball was tipped. And it will be 4th down, and we're going to see Doug Pelfrey attempt to try this, tie this up.
Everybody says, you know, you sit up in the stands, you watch the wide receivers as they're wide open, but there's a lot of hands you got to get the ball around. And that was Henry Ford, number 92, all 6'5" of them getting the mid up there.
Doug Pelfrey, 7 of 8 for the season. This will be from 42 to timed up. And that one looks perfect. Young man who went to high school only a 10-minute drive from this football field across the river in Kentucky. Doug Pelfrey knocks one home. We're notched at 3. That's advocacy of him in the debate to open the game. Off to a nice start tonight.
Yeah, 44 yards. He had a couple of good runs on some draw plays and some good blocking by his offensive line up front to give him some big holes there. But 44 yards thus far, and I think as he goes along in this game, I think he gets better and better, and he can be a terrific weapon for these guys in the 4th quarter if they keep games close.
He waits on the sideline now as his teammates get ready to return the kick of Lee Johnson. Touchback on the first one, and this time they chase it over the right side. Mel Gray at the 5. And Gray, with 6 kickoff returns for touchdowns in his career, moves it out to the 26-yard line. The Oilers lead the league in field advantage.
And he comes limping off.
Oh, boy.
The kick returners, I think when they moved, you know, the kicks back, we get more kick returns. It is it's the most exciting play in football, I believe, particularly when you have guys like Mel Gray. But Houston, number 1 in the league on returns. Get it out to the 32-yard line on average. Only brought it out to 26 this time.
Yeah, poor return.
Yeah.
3-3 ball game, 1st and 10. Chandler comes near side. Fires it. Nice play. Out to the 40-yard line. That's Derek Russell, number 85, who makes the catch.
Derek Russell is one of those guys for the Oilers that plays in the slot. Anytime you're the slot receiver, you're the physical kind, the guy that's going to take a beating. You run all the routes over the middle. You have to run through linebackers and safeties. You get knocked around a lot. And Dick Corey, one of the Oiler coaches with whom we were speaking today or this week, was saying, hey, Derek Russell could start on most teams in the National Football League. He is that good and that tough inside.
Gain of 15 on the Russell catch. And Chandler, they hand it to Eddie George. He goes out to the 43-yard line.
One of his other old teammates, Dan Wilkinson, put a stop on him. Dan Wilkinson, there he is. Big Daddy, number 99, playing pretty solidly this year. You know, Dave Shula was, the coaches were saying they have never been disappointed with him. So many expectations were put on his shoulders when he was drafted as the number 1 pick, as you see in '94. Had a good year a year ago and is playing well this year.
And thus far, a sack in each of the first 4 games for Dan Wilkinson. 2nd down and 8. Chandler, quick setup. Pops it out. That one's caught by the H-back, Frank Wycheck, number 89, came over from Washington and really ignited his career with that range.
Yeah, and he has that rapport with Chris Chandler a little bit like Troy Aikman has with Jay Novacek, or had with Jay Novacek when Jay was playing. I mean, Wycheck is not going to beat you for a lot of 40 and 50-yard plays, but moves the chains, is the dependable guy. You can dump the ball to him on a big target, as he did right there, and picks up a first.
At the 48-yard line. Chandler back, he's 4 of 9, screen pass. Little dipsy-doodle across the middle to Eddie George, and that's good for another first down at the 37-yard line.
But Verne, you see how he picked up an extra 4 yards with power at the end of that run? I mean, first of all, he's not a little scat back, so on an inside screen, he's a big target. He's back here. You know, your quarterback can find him amidst all the traffic. Dump the ball in him, big target, and then at the end of the run, he just kind of powered over a Bengal defender, picked up 4 extra yards.
That is his second catch tonight in a 3-3 ball game. Gain of 11, first down and 10 at the 37. Draw play, George. Oh my goodness, he is something to watch, isn't he?
Again, the power run. You know, it all starts with vision. And vision sometimes is a seeing thing, and sometimes it's a feeling thing, feeling where people are. But you start by looking. And then you get the feel going. And you follow Bruce Matthews, number 74, you make a move. And then at the end of the run is power. Bo Orlando suffers the tackle on Eddie George.
69 yards already for Eddie George. Chandler finds another open receiver. It's Wycheck down to the 15-yard line. Frank Wycheck with the grab.
You know, Verne, it's got to really be tough on Kajana Carter, I think, in particular, to watch the success of Eddie George tonight and this season. Kajana Carter, the #1 pick at the 95 draft. There he is, who has not been able to get his career going. A devastating knee injury a year ago, has not gotten enough ball carries this year, and now sitting on the bench tonight for the most part. Whereas Eddie George has made the transition very easily, very smoothly, and quite well.
First and 10 in a 3-3 ball game. Derek Russell is the motion man. Bengals are blitzing. Eddie George gets the ball and drives inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. This is a young man who grew up in Philadelphia and told us last night that there was a decision made for him to go to Fork Union Military Academy in Virginia after his sophomore year. Some discipline things. And he said it really made him a man. It was the best thing that ever happened to him.
And his mother was the strong person in his family. The mother forced him to go there, and he said, hey, it would have turned out a lot differently for me if I didn't have a strong mom.
Second down, 6. George comes right. This time James Francis is up high, number 50, to lead the charge.
Yeah, James Francis, number 50, does a lot of different things for this Bengal team. He's a good blitzer, as he does here. This is just kind of a run blitz. Runs through a tackler. Good coverage guy. Pretty good all-around versatile linebacker.
From Baylor. And now on third down, they pull the tight end. Ronnie Harmon checks into the backfield. And 3 wideouts. 3rd and 6. Chandler lobs it deep for Wycheck, and he's got it for a touchdown. Flags are also down, but Frank Wycheck gets his 3rd touchdown grab, and Jerry Rome's beard gets a little longer.
That is just a great catch, because James Francis, number 50, has him covered. I mean, you can't cover a guy a lot better than this. The 5th straight completion by Chandler on this drive. The great concentration by Wycheck. And when you get into scoring territory, you need to move the chains on 3rd down. Frank Wycheck is the guy you begin to look for.
On the defense, that penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Interference took place in the end zone. Wycheck makes the grab, and Jeff Fisher's team has jumped out to a 6-point lead with Al Del Greco's extra point forthcoming.
I'll tell you, the Oiler offensive line was very good in that drive, and as we said, Chris Chandler, 5 of 5.
James McKeon is the center now. Number 87, Roby will hold, and Del Greco tries to tack on the extra point. Take another look at that Frank Wycheck grab in the end zone for the touchdown.
Talk about rapport. This is it. You just kind of lob it over the linebacker, hope a strong-handed tight end can make a play, and Wycheck did.
Wycheck and Lewis and Frank Wycheck in particular enjoying the balmy evening here. Chris Chandler is quarterback in desperate need of a shave.
Most guys don't shave on game day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
Could anybody tell?
Probably not. My mother, maybe.
Here's the kick. Taken by David Dunn, number 80. Finds a a little bit of a wedge to the left side and gets out to the 29-yard line, and there is a flag down back at the Oiler 30-yard line. Well, let's see if Cincinnati wants to try this one again.
Offsides on the kickoff, number 26. 5 yards. Repeat the kick.
Well, there's your answer.
So we'll come back and try it again. Russ Purnell, the special teams coach.
He did shave today.
Yes, he did. See, the coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches have to shave on game day.
Well, and most players don't shave because it's, you know, all the sweat, it stings, and the chin straps and all that kind of stuff.
It also stinks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 10-3, Houston. Purnell chats with his group. Jeff Fisher, second year as the head coach. Fisher, of course, played collegiately in Southern California as a defensive back. He had some pretty good company back there. Let's see, Joey Browner.
Heard of him. Ronnie
Lott.
Know him.
Dennis Smith.
Yeah. Who do you think they picked on?
Now, which one of those three was a 7th round draft pick and not a number 1? And here's how small this world of football can be. Their coach in 1980 at Southern California in Los Angeles was the Redskins' current coach, Norv Turner.
Yeah. Well, one of his teammates at Southern Cal was one of his players right now, Bruce Matthews.
Oh, that was only the last 2 years.
Yeah.
The first 2 years, it was Clay Matthews who was his teammate.
It goes on and on.
Ah, this is like incest. There's the kick. Over the shoulder catch made by Jeff Hill. And there's an open field clip. Gerald Dixon. Nothing unseen about that one. So that one's going to come back and cost the Bengals plenty.
Illegal block from behind. Number 51 of the receiving team. 10 yards. First down.
Tom Tumulty it was. Nope.
No, you had it right.
Yeah, Dixon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an easy call. As a quarterback, you hate coming out in the shadow of your own goal line.
First half, 10-3, and a pretty impressive drive for the touchdown.
Yeah, you see 9 plays for 74 yards, but Chris Chandler, 5 of 5 on that drive. First to Russell for 15 yards, then Wycheck for 9. Third different receiver to George for 11, then back to Wycheck. And then the 9-yard touchdown pass, and this was real nice touch. He had drilled the ball earlier in the drive. This one you just have to float over the linebacker and hope your tight end makes a good adjustment, which he did.
Now, having decided to take the second opportunity for a kickoff return, proved costly for the Bengals. Instead of the 30, they're back at the 11. Handoff right side, Kajana Carter, number 32. Garrison Hurst injured an ankle and remains on the bench. And here is Kajana Carter.
You know, I talked about him being a featured guy at Penn State. I mean, a guy that carried the ball 25, 30 times a ball game. And when you watch him, I think he has to really get into a rhythm. I mean, last week he only carried the ball 5 times. And some backs get into a rhythm very, very quickly. But he appears to be the guy you need to feed a lot.
2nd and 8. Man rush, pass incomplete from McGee at the 20-yard line.
Wortham, the middle linebacker, did a nice job there. Remember, Jeff Fisher said to us last night, our linebackers have to play right here. That's Wortham who's going to pick up the tight end. Jeff Fisher was saying our linebackers must play well tonight in the blitz, in the passing game, stuff in the run. We've seen it at Barrow, and that time it was Wortham.
3rd and 8. Cincinnati 2 of 4 on 3rd down conversions thus far. And Bieniemy slips back into the backfield, number 21. There's Baron Wortham, having replaced Al Smith in the middle, and time is called by the Cincinnati Bengals. Game clock had wound down. Well, this game is not sold out. About 10,000 tickets remaining here at Synergy Field. But those who bought tickets are exercising their right to be vocal. They're booing. All right, he really erupted when he took over as the quarterback for Cincinnati in these first 15 games. You see the stats, but he's kind of settled down and backed off a little bit.
Yeah.
In the last 15.
Yeah, he hasn't had all the big plays that he had those first 15 games.
3rd and 8. No blitz by Houston. Pretty good rush, and it's going to be a holding call if they want to take it. There's also a sack It was Robert Young, number 99.
That is only their 6th sack, and it's a holding call which will be declined, but only the 6th sack by the Oiler team, which is a bit surprising considering they come after the quarterback so much. But they need to get more pressure out of the defensive line. They picked up Robert Young from the Rams.
Illegal use of the hands to the face, number 74. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Lee Johnson was talking about punting uphill to us last night. This is a good shot of the severe downward slope because of the baseball field here.
Now he's punting from just down the left field foul line. Johnson gets the snap and sends this one very deep, but returnable. Mel Gray back to the 40, and there's a flag back at the 2-yard line.
Mel Gray, Eric Metcalf, those guys are so exciting when they touch the ball. I mean, you always think there's going to be a touchdown at the end of the play.
Holding? Oh, boy. I don't know that Houston's going to want to take the penalty here.
No, I don't. They have excellent field position.
52-yard punt, but again, a fine return of 18 yards.
The thing about Jeff Fisher, the more you talk to him, I think one of his strengths, he's a young guy, is that he communicates with his players.
Holding, number 59 of the offense. The penalty is declined. 1st down, Houston.
Let's his players know exactly where they stand. And just as an example, we talked about him pulling in Chris Chandler in February and saying, "You're my quarterback." I mean, he told Steve McNair, "You're my backup, but you're one play away." And I think his players really respect that. They know that where they stand with the guy, they know where they're going, and what he's trying to get accomplished.
A 52-yard punt, 18 on the return, and the Oilers with a 7-point lead have excellent field position now. Chandler, good protection, deep right side, into double coverage, and another flag.
Well, that's pass interference because
James Francis, number 50.
Yeah, he's past the 5-yard zone down there. You can't be grabbing the receiver.
He was in Cleveland. He was so far past it. Offensive! Whoa!
No, wait a minute. He is bumping him way down past 5 yards.
Pass interference, number 89 of the offense. 10 yards. Repeat 1st down.
Well, he's laughing at it as well. Well, let's take a look at it at the top of the screen. Frank Wycheck's up here in Francis. Well, he's got his head turned around. I still think that looks like pass interference on James Francis. Any debate from you, Verne?
Yes, I'm going to argue just for the sake of argument. We've got into a pattern here. Yes, exactly. I know Keyshawn Johnson, and that was no Keyshawn Johnson.
There you go again.
1st and 20. Rodney Thomas has checked in. Chandler, right side, a little high, intended for Ronnie Harmon. And really good coverage defensively by the Bengals.
I don't know if Ronnie Harmon just gave that the one-arm routine, though. Again, this guy has been, we've seen him tonight already, twice on 3rd down being an effective player. This time he split out of the backfield, gets out of the jam of the, that's one I think you got to reach out there. That may have been the old Venus de Milo.
Yeah, the arms looked a little short on that one. Looked like you were reaching for a check.
Yeah.
Thank you for the setup.
Yeah, thanks. Venus.
2nd and 20. 4-man rush. Chandler flush. Got him. Big Daddy Wilkinson and Artie Smith.
Big Daddy, 5th straight time he's gotten a sack in their games. They blocked McDonald on the outside. Wycheck on McDonald. But that it forces him to step up right into the waiting arms of Dan Wilkinson. And for an interior lineman, generally don't get a lot of sacks. He had 8 a year ago. He's got 1 a game this year.
Francis looks on. 3rd and 25. Stunts by the defensive line. Chandler up. Settles for the alternate receiver. And Wycheck barrels past the 40. Fumble. Picked up And here we go. Jimmy Spencer has it. It's a foot race. Ronnie Harmon chases him. Spencer scores. Ago, Jimmy Spencer cut a quarter-inch off the tip of his thumb while trying to cut a hole in a plastic water bottle. It doesn't hurt anymore. You can see that bandage on his left thumb. He's carrying the ball in his right hand. It didn't bother him picking up the fumble. Unrestricted free agent acquisition from New Orleans. 60 yards on the fumble return. Doug Pelfrey authors the extra point.
Verne, remember a couple weeks ago, Ray Rhodes was talking to, as the head coach of Philadelphia, to Chris T. Jones. He didn't like his receiver to put the ball out in front when he's trying to dive for a first down. 89, Frank Wycheck, first is a good thing. He blocks the blitzing linebacker. But you're going to see at the end of this run, he's trying to stick the ball out. Now, he is nowhere near the first down marker. And when that happens, sometimes the ball gets knocked loose. Jimmy Spencer picks it up 55 yards later. There he's reaching out. It was the helmet of Sawyer that got it out of there. And 55 yards later, bad thumb and all, he's in the end zone, and then he's underneath the stands.
And after that, it was a matter simply of thumbs up. Officially a 55-yard fumble return. 10-10 ball game.
Very vividly remember Ray Rhodes talking to us about that a couple weeks ago. And he was really upset with his wide receiver, Chris T. Jones, for doing it. And, you know, God love Wycheck. He was trying to help his team, but boy, that's just a bad play and results in a Bengal touchdown.
Tied at 10, Ronnie Harmon and Mel Gray back to return Lee Johnson's kickoff. Johnson, the 12-year veteran from Brigham Young. He played for Houston a decade ago. This one returnable by Mel Gray.
Mel Gray doesn't down Mills, does he? I mean,
no.
Yeah, he's got one job to do, and that's return punts and kicks, and he takes great joy in doing it. I mean, this is the guy has 9 career returns for touchdowns, 6 kickoffs, 3 punts, over 11,000 career return yards.
Second oldest man to actively return kicks in the league.
The oldest being?
Ollie Matson.
Wow.
I remember him well.
Can I rent you out at Christmas for all the cocktail parties? Probably got your name up there on the web.
I'm a guy who thinks Trivial Pursuit is still a game to be played. I just missed that cycle. First and 10, draw play. Eddie George, number 27.
Fumble recovery for the touchdown. Last time, 1992.
Had a couple of them then.
Twice in the same game. That's a good defensive game, I'd say.
Would I be considered unprepared if I didn't remember Fernandez Vinson?
We'll let that one slide, Mr. Lundquist.
Second and 6. Draw play, George. Out to the 37-yard line. Tim Johnson, number 90, makes the tackle.
Hey, one good thing Jerry Rome, the offensive coordinator for the Oilers, has done with Eddie George, and that has let him stay. There he is, Jerry Rome, who's tutored a lot of good quarterbacks. But he has let Eddie George stay in that I formation that is so comfortable for him. You know, he doesn't play halfback. They don't move him around. He gets deep in that I, and he's very comfortable running from that position. Jerry
Rome is looking more and more like Willie Nelson. Third and 3. Stunts. Chandler underneath to Ronnie Harmon. Wide open. Wow. What a defensive mistake by the Bengals. There is a flag down, but it's near the midfield stripe.
You can't cover him with a linebacker. I mean, people have been trying to do that for 11 years. It's against the Bengals. It'll be declined. You cannot do that.
Holding number 23 of the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
And Ronnie Harmon set this thing up so beautifully. I mean, this was a patient route. You'll see him right back here. And he just kind of waits. Against the middle linebacker, Tovar, that's not fair for Tovar. Has absolutely no chance of covering him out of the backfield.
Gain of 17 and a first down. And for Ronnie Harmon, his second catch. First down and 10 in the tie ball game. And the ball incomplete. It was tipped. Pretty good pressure that time. Rico McDonald, 56. Tim Johnson, number 90.
The Houston Oilers are running a lot of the same plays, and they've run a lot of screens. That was going to be another inside screen. They had some success early with Eddie George. And they've used Ronnie Harmon on third down passes. He's converted 3 third down situations for them. And this guy, Jerry Rome, you talk about Willie Nelson, but this guy has tutored a lot of good quarterback and resurrected Chris Chandler's career.
Second down and 10. Harmon back in. Blitz. Good protection. Deep ball. Derek Russell. And it's a foot too far. It will be third down. Chandler knew he had him, but had to arch it almost perfectly.
It was good coverage by Corey Sawyer of the Bengals. And Rod Jones as well.
You know,
you're talking about Archer. We have seen Chris Chandler throw all kinds of passes. You know, touch passes to Wycheck. He's drilled the ball. And that's Sawyer against Russell.
Third and 10. Malcolm Floyd is in as a wide receiver. Right side. That will be short of the first down. Wycheck was split wide right that time. Makes the grab. And it'll be fourth down.
They're actually thinking about going for it here.
Yeah, it's...
they're thinking about a field goal.
Del Greco had a string of 18 straight field goals come to an end in game 1 when he missed from 56 yards out. That was a high snap.
This is going to be a long one.
He missed from 56 and had one blocked from 48 last week.
Well, this is going to be, what?
57
yards.
6 or 7. To see what they officially make it. This would be a career best if he knocks it home. Dead ball. No play.
And they're going to think about this one. Yeah, there's the timeout. Oh, it was going to be a fake field goal, I think.
He almost
gave that one away.
Yeah, and he almost became a tenor.
Yeah, groins, a little bit like ammunition dumps, don't need direct hits.
An ill-timed timeout.
Well, you know, that's a shame, too, because that ruined the fake field goal. That was going to be a direct snap to Del Greco, and he was going to attempt to run or throw it, I believe. And that'll probably be called off, and Reggie Roby will now punt it.
You're looking at the best golfer in the National Football League, I think, without question. Al Del Greco, the punter, the place kicker, has won that NFL charity golf event the last 4 years in a row. Here's Roby with the pooch kick. That one might bring rain. Fair catch called at the 11.
Missed opportunity, though. Really a missed opportunity. You never know how those fake field goals are going to work out, but boy, they missed it.
Well, this Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, TNT will bring you a 4-hour miniseries.
Predatory and aggressive creature. Survival is for the fittest only.
Tell me what you know about him. Tell me how he died.
It's called Dress Gray, and it stars Alec Baldwin and Hal Holbrook. A tale of murder at a military academy and the secrets the crime reveals. Parts 1 and 2 of Dress Gray begin this Tuesday, 8 o'clock, right here on TNT. With 2:12 remaining in the first half of play, we're tied at 10. Carl Pickens in motion. motion. Blake, quick setup. Lobs it short to the enemy. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
You know, Verne, that is the 8th first down play Cincinnati has had in this game, and that is the first time the Oilers did not blitz on 1st down. And as you look at Eric Bieniemy there trying to catch that ball, Verne, to beat the Steelers or to keep pace with the Steelers in this division, you have to be able to run the football and defend the run. The Bengals are able to defend the run, but they still have not found a way to run the ball, nor have they decided on the running back.
Garrison Hurst is checked back in now. Sat out with an ankle sprain for a while. Blitz again. Blake dances right, caught and dropped at the 3-yard line.
And that was a blitz by Steve Jackson.
And the 3rd sack of the first half for what had been a sack-less Oiler defense.
Anthony Cook, number 78, gets a piece of it. And so does Steve Jackson off the corner. So they didn't blitz on 1st down. They blitz on 2nd down and come up with another big sack.
Recently renamed Synergy Field in Cincinnati, a tie ball game, but the Bengals looking at a 3rd and 17 after Houston's 3rd sack of the first half. See if they're coming again. The Oilers, they are not. 3-man rush. Blake pulls up and he'll run. Oh boy, was he popped at the 14-yard line. Joe Bowden, number 58, and time called by the Oilers. That will leave them with 1 timeout remaining. And a punt forthcoming. Coming up on the Fruit of the Loom halftime report, Vince Cellini will have no-huddle highlights from all of today's action, and Mark May and Randall Cunningham will have their analysis coming up at halftime on the Fruit of the Loom halftime report.
You know, I think the most amazing statistic from today's action, 5 two-point conversions today in the game between New England and the Ravens. All 5 made.
I know you are a big fan of two-point conversion statistics.
I like that. I like that. Michael Jackson caught 2 two-point plays, but 5 in a game. That's an NFL record.
It should be.
Yeah. I may join you on that Christmas tour of those parties. Well, this is a big, important series, I think, for Cincinnati. And if you have a guy punting, and you have Lee Johnson, who leads the league in punting at over 51 yards, this is a time he needs a big punt.
In his 12th year, and getting off to a great start. But they have been returned. Now here's the punt by Johnson. This is not a particularly good one. He might get a good roll, and he does, and it limps to a halt. Goes out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Lee Johnson, he was asking us, he's chasing a mark set in 1940 by Sammy Baugh, who averaged 50.4 yards per kick. And Lee suggested that maybe that's such an astounding record that they were measuring those punts from the point of the kick instead of the line of scrimmage. Well, we checked.
And
they did not, no. And slinging Sammy Baugh from Rotan, Texas, kicked it 35 times 56 years ago and averaged more than 50 yards per punt. That's one of the oldest records in the book.
I don't think that's one's going to be broken.
Nope. Ronnie Harmon is in the backfield. Chandler, 3-man coming, picked off, intercepted by Jimmy Spencer. What a night he's having. Thumbs up again. Siskel and Ebert just called in. 2 thumbs up.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, I don't know whether he hit his hand on a helmet and didn't get a big enough velocity on this ball, but this ball floated out, and a good read and an easy interception for Jimmy Spencer because there just wasn't enough steam on it. Oh, gosh, he got creamed. Howard Smith just creamed somebody. But it perfectly read. Here comes the block right there. And now the Bengals, with 2 timeouts remaining, have an excellent chance.
Fumble return to 55 yards for a touchdown. Chris Chandler with an injured thumb. Garrison Hurst in the backfield. Blake back into the flat. Overthrown.
What was he?
And Hurst had a bunch of room.
Boy, he catches that on the move without having to adjust, and he's going to pick up at least 20 yards, and maybe with his speed, score.
The enemy in. So is Jeff Cothran. Dave Shula peering up at the Jumbotron scoreboard here with the replay. That's become standard now in the league. 2nd and 10. Blitz coming by the Oilers. Blake in trouble. Throws it away.
Well, I'll tell you, one guy who was not expecting the ball was Darnay Scott. He was blocking. Darnay Scott thought it was going to be a screen pass. He wasn't even turned around. Had his back to the quarterback.
Well, Blake has got some anemic numbers tonight, 5 of 14.
Yeah, watch Darnay Scott down here. That guy is not looking for the ball, I promise you.
You don't think so?
Yeah, the ball was thrown to him.
The enemy and Hurst in the backfield on 3rd and 10. Blake deep down the middle. Darnay is open. And it's intercepted. Flag is thrown on Blaine Bishop, number 23.
Don't know about that one either, Verne.
Boy, I don't either.
Yeah.
He's got a right to the ball.
Ball's in the air. He has just as much a right as the receiver. Talking about Blaine Bishop.
Pass interference, number 23 of the defense. 1st down.
Oh, that's a killer.
Well, as we say in the commercials, you be the judge. But no, I think he's going right over the top. I think that's a clean. He has a chance to go up and get the ball.
Well, Darnay Scott, you see him signal immediately his feelings. He thought he was interfered.
Well, every receiver's going to do that, as you well know.
And there came the hanky. 29-yard penalty. 1st and 10 from just outside the 10. Draw play.
Oh, my.
I don't know about that play.
Make a wish.
Let's regroup.
I think 3 guys had a handle on either leg.
Cincinnati with 2 timeouts left, and they do not choose to use one here.
The time will not be the issue for them, and it's the blitz on the Bowden and Barrow on the outside, and these linebackers for the Oilers have played well in this first half.
2nd and goal. David Dunn checks in. He's wide right. No blitz. Blake chased. Tries to throw it short underneath. Tony McGee incomplete.
Well, this is the area of the field they look for Carl Pickens, and Jeff Blake looked for Carl Pickens early in that route, and he was double covered. The Oilers just took him away with 2 defenders. You know, sometimes even if a guy like Carl Pickens is double covered, you throw it up and let him go up and make the rebound. And that's what he has done so well in his career. Incredibly competitive when the ball's in the air. But they're going to double cover him again. He's at the top of the screen.
3rd and goal. The enemy out. Big pattern. Oh, bad pass. Pickens took an inside route and came right, and the ball was over his left shoulder.
You know, the same thing happened last week to the Bengals. Now, he releases inside, and the quarterback thinks he's going outside. You know, that shouldn't be happening in week 5. But, you know, they got the matchup they wanted. Carl Pickens against the defensive back, but he was just expecting, Jeff Blake was expecting a different release.
Blake has had a first half to forget. He's 5 of 16 for 45 yards and sacked 3 times. He has missed 9 straight. But the field goal is up and good. So the Jimmy Spencer interception leads to a Doug Pelfrey field goal. 2 in a row tonight for Pelfrey, and the Cincinnati Bengals take the lead.
Yeah, and I think the Bengals better be thinking about a squib kick here. I don't believe you give Mel Gray a chance with 25 seconds. And you know, Chris Chandler had injured his hand. I think he hit a helmet on that interception. But he was just throwing. Last 40 games, when Houston has been up 15-1 and tied and trailing, they have not been particularly strong.
I'd say they've established a trend.
Well, they're down 3 right now. And,
CNN TNT poll dictates they have a problem. Oh, boy.
Would you kick the ball to Mel Gray here?
No.
Yeah.
But then I seldom would. Lee Johnson might think about it. Now, the tactic is to try and keep it away, obviously, from Mel Gray. And with 25 seconds left, here comes Lee Johnson. Well, no strip kick.
Boy, I don't like this.
From the 5. You like that?
Yeah, that's good coverage. If you're going to kick it to him, you better tackle him. Hey, let's go back to the interception. I think Chris Chandler, I know Chris Chandler hit his hand on something, and as he throws the ball, it's the right arm of Big Daddy, I think, that interferes with the throw. And really, that's why he couldn't completely follow through. You see him grimacing already. And he couldn't follow through, and he couldn't get any zip on that pass.
Now he's been massaging that right hand on the sideline. See what they opt to do now. First down and 10, 80 yards away. 20 seconds to go. And they'll keep it conservative. Eddie George out to the 25-yard line.
But if you keep the game close, which it is now, that man 27 becomes more and more of a factor, certainly late in the ball game, because he wears people out.
77 yards in the first half for the Heisman Trophy winner from 1995. But he and his team trail by 3. They're bucking a trend. They haven't overcome a halftime deficit in better than 3 years. To this score. This is the 4th straight week we've had a 13-10 halftime break. Interesting game, though, because Houston seemed to be on the verge of dominating this thing, and yet 2 turnovers have proven costly for them.
You know, particularly one there, the interception right in the 2-minute drill that Houston was running. Jimmy Spencer made a real nice play. I think what happened, you know, it looked like Chandler couldn't get any velocity on the ball because his arm was interfered with by Big Daddy. So you can see the ball floating out there, easy pick off by Spencer. He gets out of bounds. And then I think a controversial play after that, they called a pass interference on Blaine Bishop. Now, I think he is going for the ball right there, has every right, almost picked it off. If he intercepts that, I don't think that was interference. I think Jeff Fisher didn't think it was interference either. This was on tape right before, his team had already run into the locker room.
Well, Jeff Fisher pleading his case as his team goes down by a 3-point count at halftime. And they do so despite the fact they had 176 yards of total offense. And let's talk a little bit about Cincinnati. Jeff Blake really ineffective in the first half.
Yeah, you know, they got to him, 3 sacks, so they're putting some pressure on him. They continue not to be able to run the football. And until they solve that problem, they're not going to be able to compete in this division, and they're not going to win this ball game tonight. I don't think you've got to be able to run the ball and stop the run in the division. You know, they still haven't really decided who that guy is. Nobody's really stepped forward and won it. You see the total yards, only 76 by the Cincinnati Bengals. The 2 turnovers really have been the difference in this game.
5 of 16 for Jeff Blake, and he missed his last 9 passes of the first half. And now it'll be up to Al Del Greco, who will kick off as we get underway with the 3rd quarter of play. Beautiful night in Cincinnati. A team that is struggling, having finished 7-9 a year ago after back-to-back 3-13s, and a Houston team that finished 7-9 last year and is trying to right things. Del Greco hooks this one left, taken on the run by David Dunn, number 80, and he is popped as he gets across the 28-yard line and down at the 27. In the first 4 games of the season, in the first 4 games, first half of the season, Cincinnati with 11 points. They really struggled in the second half, though, Pat. Yeah, well, they struggled in the first half of this ball game, but you see what's happened. Only 65 passing yards they've averaged in the second half. Only 7 points. Just have not been productive. It started early in the year because the offensive line was in disarray, but they have those guys back now for the second week in a row. No more excuses there. Blake hands it off and gets a couple. Garrison Hurst, number 20.
No, that's only the 11th rush, Verne, excuse me. Only 11th rush there by the Bengals. And again, it's surprising in a close ball game. You'd think he'd run the ball a little bit more, try to figure out whether Garrison Hurst is going to be your guy the rest of this year.
Well, they had the 123-yard run from Garrison Hurst. That's about the only highlight for the Bengals in the first half. Yet they are on top. Here's Hurst weaving through traffic and moving it out for a first down at the 39-yard line. We've talked a lot tonight about the torn anterior cruciate ligament suffered by Kajana Carter last week.
Well, this is another guy that had one, Verne. He suffered one, I think it was 1991 in Arizona when he was a Cardinal. Had that interior cruciate. Kajana Carter. Some around this part of the country feel that Kajana has not come back and had the burst that he had before the injury.
First and 10. There's a burst by Hurst.
Oh, I like that. Not quite alliteration, but it rhymed.
Well,
yeah, done a little bit of everything tonight.
Poor man's poetry.
One for the thumb and all that.
Yeah.
Did you have that as well?
Joe Green called in. He didn't like us using the thumb alliteration too much.
Well, this Bengal team, as you look at Garrison Hurst, he was the 3rd pick in the 1993 draft. They had the number 1 pick in Big Daddy in the 1994 draft, and the number 1 pick in the 95 draft. So it hasn't been a lack of high draft picks.
First down and 10. Bengals at the 50. They give it to Cothran, the fullback, number 29, and he breaks through across the 45 to the 44-yard line. Jeff Cothran, 3rd-year man from Ohio State, and a much less celebrated running back from Ohio State than is that guy for the Oilers, number 27.
That Eddie George is a pretty good one, but as you watch Jeff Cothran there, that guy, we knew he was having a good, strong season. We met with him last night, really a good kid. I mean, a good, solid guy that works hard to like his work ethic, but he's a heck of a player, too.
Second down and 4. Blake. And he's got the grab. Carl Pickens, that ends a streak for Jeff Blake and gives Cincinnati a first down at the 25.
Generally, the body's around Carl Pickens. He doesn't have the speed Darnay Scott has, but what he has is strength and real competitiveness when the ball's in the air. And that is a good throw by Jeff Blake away from the oncoming defender. Chris Dishman was going to make a play. Jeff Blake felt that, threw that away from Chris Dishman, and allowed Carl Pickens to make the catch.
That's a gain of 16 and a first down at the 26-yard line. Blitz. Oh, they got him. Man, oh man, the quick handoff. Left side, Garrison Hurst breaks over left tackle. Melvin Tootin and Rich Braham. What a huge hole.
Yeah, and you don't want a slowly developing play against a blitz. You want to open something to come in, open up very quickly. They get a quick trap. There's a tremendous hole there. And again, no power plays, no traps. Against a blitzing team, give it to your tailback and let him dart and find a hole.
62 yards on 7 carries for Garrison Hurst. Play action. Blake still has it, comes left for Tony McGee. 2 flags are down, and so is McGee.
Tony McGee gave it a pretty good Oscar job as he laid on the ground and fell down a couple of times, didn't get back, all part of the pattern, of course. Got back and ran a crossing route.
Appears to be against Houston. Interference.
Just the kind of opening drive that David Shula wants in this second half for his Bengal team, a team that's struggling.
Illegal contact, number 56 of the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
So McGee hooks up with Jeff Blake, second consecutive pass completion. And you get a perspective over Jeff Fisher's right shoulder. First and 10 at the 11 in a 13-10 Cincinnati ball game.
Again, the closer you get, Carl Pickens becomes more and more of a factor.
Quick setup, Blake. Left side, Darnay Scott out of bounds inside the 2.
They could pick up a first down. coverage on one side to Pickett's side, so you find a single coverage with a cushion. That's, even though that's Darnay Scott, that's easy pickings.
Oh, see, it's...
hey, I can do it too.
It's contagious, isn't it?
I can play this game. Yeah.
Darnay Scott will sit out now. Backs in the eye, caught from the short man. And Kajana Carter checks in as a deep back in the eye. Second and short. Lob pass, fade pattern. Carl Pickens. Contact and no flag. Whoa, Pickens thought he should be the beneficiary.
And Chris Dishman is going, right there with Carl Pickens. And then they were both talking about that this week. Dishman says you got to be able to time your jump, get your hands on him, and make a play. And that's usually Pickens wins the jump balls. Jeff Blake was chatting with us yesterday, and he said you can't believe the verbiage between those two guys. Dishman and Pickens. Third and short. Touchdown, Cochran. They slipped it to the fullback. And the 250-pound fullback gets his first touchdown of the season. Wouldn't you love to see Dave do a little dancing too? Hey, this is pretty impressive. Yeah. Good change of pace by Bruce Coslet, the offensive coordinator. Twice he slipped Jeff Cothran through there on that series. Doug Belfry's extra point is up and good. You give your Bruce Coslet, you throw the ball a few times, you give the ball to your tailback, and then when you need a touchdown, you slip it to the fullback. He bounces outside, gets across the end zone, you have another touchdown.
In the NFL,
Jeff Blake with 3 completed passes on that drive, and then they slipped the ball to Jeff Cothran. And the Bengals, who lost a miserable game according to their coach in the opener against the Rams. Dave Shula said that's the one he'd like to have back. And they lost last week to Denver at home. Here's the kick. And Mel Gray will grab it at the 5. Mel Gray still on his feet as he gets across the 30 and is down at the 31-yard line. Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown. Everybody's expecting the tailback to get the ball in this formation, and then they slip it right here to the fullback. A clever little call. And Cothran was able to, even though he's lined up very close to the quarterback, have enough agility to be able to bounce it off some penetration to get in the end zone. So good play calling, good run by Cothran. Houston led it at one point, 10-3. They have seen Cincinnati score 17 unanswered points. Chandler has it, hands it off to Eddie George, and he is met and driven back by Rico McDonald, number 56. That's a gain of 1. And McDonald right here, the linebacker, right next to the umpire. Again, getting lots of protection because he's uncovered. He's got defensive linemen in front of him, and he's supposed to make the plays. And the defensive linemen suck up the blocks. The linebacker, McDonald, makes the tackle. Second down, 9. Willie Davis in motion, number 86. Eddie George met at the line and driven backwards. This time it's Kenny Davidson who got the start tonight because John Copeland felt another twinge in his hamstring and is on the inactive list. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals had a great opening offensive series. In the first 2 downs, they've had a good defensive series for the Oilers. So this is a time for Chris Chandler to get this going. There's John Copeland. Nice suit. Yeah. Whoa. What color would you call that? Ochre. Taupe. Carter got it. What a nifty pass. Just when the crowd's getting involved, just when Cincinnati's sensing some momentum, your quarterback gets good protection, hangs in the pocket, and drills the ball to Chris Sanders. His first catch of the evening. This is a guy who led the National Football League in yards per catch a year ago. 23.5. That yardage is off by 4, but even his coaches say he's not playing as well as he did a year ago. Facing a lot of double coverage, Chris Sanders. That was 14 yards. It's first down, draw play, Eddie George.
Boy, they have had success, Verne, on that draw play, haven't they?
Oh.
I mean, they have run the draw play at least 6 times. And each time, Eddie George has picked up a minimum of 7 yards. A little delay route. Number 20, real deep in that I formation. Just kind of feels it, sense it. Donnelly, number 77, gets a real good block. Stepnoski gets his man, and then he gets 3 extra yards. Cheats the defense out of 3 yards with real power.
Eddie George with 88 yards on 18 carries now, 2nd and 1. Here's his 19th carry, and watch him go! No flags in a foot race. And Eddie George is in the end zone.
45 yards to go along with an earlier run this year of 76 yards against Jacksonville. You know, Verne, he's a power runner that can break tackles and they can go the distance. He is a unique guy.
45 yards for Eddie George. His mother, Donna, is here tonight. Eddie George telling us last night that even though she thought it might sound silly, when he was a small boy, he told his mom, I'm going to win the Heisman someday. And he did last year, of course, and said you can't imagine the thrill when he knew that he was in the company of guys, and he mentioned these two specifically, Barry Sanders and Tim Brown. The extra point is up, and it's good.
Well, it was a 70-yard drive, but 45 of it came on this play. A good cutback run by Eddie George. He's got the speed to go the distance, and we've seen all kinds of runs from Eddie George tonight.
Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Bengals and the National Football League is prohibited.
Back at Synergy Field in Cincinnati, Ohio, where things have gotten a little tighter. And here is the kickoff from Al Del Greco. Corey Sawyer comes up and grabs it at the 15. Sawyer down at the 28-yard line. 45-yard kickoff, or touchdown rather, by Eddie George. He's got 133 yards for the night. Time has been called.
Play of the day. Packers, Bears, Favre, and Antonio Freeman just wants the football. And a touchdown, and the practically amazing Isuzu. Play of the day.
I think the happiest people in America are guys who got Brett Favre in their rotisserie football leagues this year. And Dave Shula looking at those still pictures. Let's go back and chart the last drive.
Yeah, 5 plays, 70 yards. Chandler to Sanders was a 3rd down, 14-yard play. Then George for 9, and then really a terrific 45-yard cutback run, and did a lot of that on his own. And you're going to see the cutback. We've seen power runs from him. You know, we've seen him run over people. This was just a speed run. A very versatile player.
Blake hands it off. And Garrison Hurst comes right and gets to the 30-yard line.
Now, we said until you can run the ball and defend the run, you're not going to catch the Pittsburgh Steelers in this division. The Houston Oilers have found a way to run the ball with Eddie George. Dave Shula still looking for the right mix, the right halfback to be able to carry his team.
Kajana Carter, the second part of that mix, is in the lineup now with Eric Bieniemy. Carter directly behind Jeff Blake. Blake, he'll run it. This is what David Shula was saying he wanted Jeff Blake to do more often.
He's a nifty runner. Scored last week on a quarterback draw. And has really burned the Oilers in those 3 games where he's played so well with some scrambles.
That is his 4th carry tonight for 21 yards, and it sets up a 3rd down and 2. Jeff Cothran back in. Tony McGee also back on the field. McGee sets up in a wing to the left side, backs in the eye, Cothran the short back. That's McGee in motion. They'll come left, and that would appear to be enough for the first down at the 39. See what kind of spot the Bengals are given. And Jerry Austin's going to call the chain out and see if they got enough. Oh boy.
Oh,
yep.
He made it by, well, how much?
That's the opposite side of a smidgen. So they get the first down. Dave Shula and the Bengals. Well, Tom Kinder is the public address announcer here.
Ball at the Bengal 39-yard line.
This is his 29th year rather, as the public address announcer here. More on that later, as they say in the newscast. Here's Jeff Blake going deep left side and incomplete. Down for Darnay Scott, but good coverage
Blake's
downfield.
Pass intended for Darnay Scott is incomplete. Darrell Lewis on the coverage for the Oilers.
Now here's what makes Tom Kinder a little bit unusual in this league. He's the only public address announcer in the National Football League who does his work on the sideline. That's his son Tom with him. This started under Paul Brown at Massillon High School. And when the Bengals got a franchise and Paul Brown came here, he hired Tom Kinder, and he's been at it ever since. Up the middle they go, Garrison Hurst.
And it looked like there was a little hallway there for Garrison Hurst to kind of scoot through. And that little hallway was created by big old Melvin Tootin, number 61, who leads the way. You hug his block, pick up a block by Higgins, his tight end McGee, and Hurst rushes for the first down. Good block by the second-year guy, 305-pound Melvin Tootin.
Played a little basketball at Syracuse. Moved a few bodies around.
But you got a few rebounds.
First and 10. Blake wants to go deep again. Goes deep for Pickens. And that one is incomplete. Contact down around the 10-yard line.
You see him helping Darrell Lewis up. These guys play against each other twice a year and have a great deal of respect for one another.
You know, last week, Denver was here. And
again, just talking about, again, the kind of matchups that is so critical in this series. The defensive backfield for the Houston Oilers combined, all four of the best foursome in the National Football League against two great wide receivers for the Bengals.
Second and 10. Cothran gets the call.
Well, 3:50 left in this third quarter, and Dave Shula has to be happy with his offense, at least this second half. We showed you earlier the graphic how awful they have been in the second half of ball games, but scored on their opening drive in the second half. The second drive here, they've moved the ball pretty well also.
Third down conversions, 4 of 9, and they're looking at 3rd and 7 right here. Blitz. Blake is sacked for the 4th time.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher has to be happy with the pressure put on the quarterback. And that one comes from James Roberson. Now they, as we said, only 5 sacks coming in tonight's ball game. That's the 4th sack tonight. And several of them have been by defensive linemen. And they didn't have much of that.
Now that brings on Lee Johnson again. And Mel Gray inside the 10. Oh, boy. Somebody check the helium supply.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous to punt the ball in the end zone, Verne. I mean, again, I think that's a ball you have to punt out at the 10-yard line. The Oilers now get 20 yards. They bring it out to the 20-yard line. And he
Time's
knows it.
gone.
Yeah.
And now here's tonight's GMC leaderboard. Games without a 100-yard rusher. Cincinnati has gone 53 games since they had a running back go over 100. Garrison Hurst might get there tonight. He's got 74. But he's got to wait right now while the Oilers have the ball. Chandler inside give. And they slip it to Ronnie Harmon. He moves out to the 24-yard line. Pickup of 4. 2:35 to go third quarter. Both teams with a touchdown in the third quarter, and actually that's going to go as a gain of 5. 2nd and 5. Across the middle, bobbled and dropped. Harmon, that's a rare mistake.
Yeah, it is. You know, and once again, they've got him matched up with a linebacker. And I think you have to keep coming back to Ronnie Harmon until they try to cover him with something else, with somebody else. And again, this is a 3rd and 5 situation, and one more time, even though Ronnie Harmon dropped that one, you got to at least look at him first.
Derek Russell joins Willie Davis and Chris Sanders on the field, and Harmon stays in as the 3rd down back. Wide check in a wing to the right. Derek Russell in motion. 3rd and 5. Chandler, incomplete. Intended for Russell.
He was lucky he threw that ball into the dirt because Corey Sawyer was going to pick that one off, Verne. I mean, Corey Sawyer, number 23, jumped that route.
And now Sawyer goes back to return the punt coming up from Reggie Roby. Roby in his 14th year in the league, 10 years with Miami, of course, is a high draft pick. And then 2 years with the Redskins, last year in Tampa Bay, and said the reason he signed with Houston was because of the dome. And wow. This is a good one.
Wow.
At the 20. Sawyer is hit. There'll be a flag. There'll be about 4 flags on that one.
David Dunn did have a block that there wasn't a flag thrown on. That was a good block. And then there was a couple of them after that where all the yellow hankies came out.
And here's Jerry Austin. Joe Wessel, the special teams coach. So it's going to go against Cincinnati and come back the other way.
During the run back, illegal block from behind. Number 31, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
Backup defensive back Greg Myers.
Yeah, it's going to come over here on the left side of the screen right there. There's one and there's 2 of them right there. Yeah. And that's a bad circle. Sorry about that, Verne.
That's about the 5th bad circle tonight. Dante did better than you. Sunday night football, the suspension bridge across the Ohio River here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Or 10 years ago, they had the World Figure Skating Championships here. Katarina Witt came here. She had lost the crown the year before to Debbie Thomas. She held a press conference at which she said, "I want to come to Cincinnati and reclaim my crown."
That's good. I like that. Very strong.
I do German well.
Very strong.
Yeah, huh? 1st down and 10. And the handoff to Kajana Carter for a couple.
You see number 23 up there, Blaine Bishop, for the Houston Oilers. He is their strong safety, and he is in opposing offensive backfields a lot. That's the guy.
They're kind of tough now. Kajana Carter, the applause is because he's coming out of the game.
It is tough on him here. But Blaine Bishop is one of the keys to this Oiler defense. He's more a linebacker than he is a strong safety.
Garrison Hurst back in. Blake, incomplete. Linebacker played that one well. Did Joe Bowden, number 58.
We've seen Joe Bowden blitz and then cover. Michael Barrow blitz and cover well. And Baron Wortham, the middle linebacker, doing a pretty good job of stuffing up the middle. So this linebacker crowd for the Oilers have played very good football tonight, as have their defensive backs.
3rd and 9. Blake now 8 of 23 for 78 yards, and Eric Bieniemy is in. Alternate receiver Sadowski gets it, but that, I think, is short of the first down. Yep, they'll have to punt.
Well, Jeff Blake said he knew this Oiler defense like the back of his hand. Several Oilers mentioned that quote to us, and he is struggling tonight. And I don't know whether he washed his hands before the game and the defense was washed off or what.
Matter of fact, he was talking about Blaine Bishop, the strong safety, number 23. He said, every time all I do is watch where Bishop winds up, and he keys me and leads me to where I have to go. It hadn't helped him tonight. Here's Johnson. This is a very poor punt.
Gonna get a good bounce.
Yeah, he might get a roll. Mel Gray, one hopper. Oh, boy.
And a flag.
Flags, yes, I thought so. Unnecessary roughness is going to be coming here.
You know what a weapon he is. He has 90 yards in kickoff returns, and he's got a whole bunch of yards on punt returns as well. That one's 29 yards.
Personal foul, Cincinnati.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 21 of the kicking team. 15 yards, first down.
That's the special teams captain.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy. 29 yards. He's done it on kickoffs. He's done it on punts. I mean, just think when you think you have him cornered, he breaks a tackle. I mean, it's just no accident. Boy. You know, he and Brian Mitchell, some guys just continue to do it return after return.
Well, last week, he got scratched in the eye, had 7 stitches, or a couple of weeks ago, I guess when it happened. 7 stitches in his left eye, just below his eyeball, obviously. He said, stating the obvious. 1st and 10, Chandler. Deep left side, man-for-man coverage, tipped away. Jimmy Spencer, who's had a big, big night with a fumble return for a touchdown and an interception. He almost got his 2nd pick of the night.
Oh, boy. And Eddie George was matched up against a linebacker, Steve Tovar, and was wide open. Right here. Watch these guys as you watch my octagon as I circle that one, or try to. Underthrown. I mean, again, what you want to do is give Chris Sanders at 6'1" a chance to jump up and catch it, but that ball was just underthrown.
Chandler, 11 of 23, 119 yards. 2nd and 10, 20 to 17, final 21 seconds, 3rd quarter. Got a man. Little Gregory Hines on the sidelines, inbounds. It's a completed ball.
Gregory Hines on the sideline. They couldn't have done it any better than that. I mean, here's the catch. Great concentrate. It started with a good route. It has the field, knows right where the first down marker is. And then a good throw there by Chris Chandler. Away from the defender. He catches the ball, dots the eye, and moves the chains.
Chris Sanders with the grab. That's a 1st down as we end quarter number 3. John Carter, between them, they have 2 good legs. And on the field, on the first play of the 4th quarter, 1st and 10, Houston trailing by 3. Draw play, Eddie George stumbles and gets down to the 16-yard line.
Even when he stumbles, he picks up 5 or 6 yards. And Verne, one more time, the draw play. I mean, Jerry Rome has a game plan, and he continues to run those plays that are working. And they have not stopped. Bengals have not stopped that draw play yet.
Jerry Rome, who at one time was a 3rd-string quarterback for the Cowboys behind Don Meredith and Craig Morton. That's when he didn't look like Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson didn't look like Willie Nelson. 2nd down. Eddie George down to the 15-yard line. Eddie George, of course, won the Heisman Trophy. He is trying at some point, I'm sure, to join a very small list of Heisman Trophy winners who are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the most recent of whom is Tony Dorsett, Earl Campbell, Doak Walker, the pride of Steamboat Springs, Colorado, Horning, Roger Staubach, and O.J. Simpson. And ironically, Anthony Dorsett, Tony's son, is inactive tonight. He's a defensive back for the Houston Oilers. Lives with his dad in Dallas. I'm shameless.
Yeah, you are. Better defend Ronnie Harmon here.
3rd and 3. Chandler had a little mustard on that one.
He really did. And I tell you, the Bengals, they started off, first of all, they put a defensive back on Ronnie Harmon. So he's taken away. Ronnie Harmon's gone. They double him up with a linebacker and a defensive back. So he comes off him and just drills the ball that really should have been caught. And a helmet, I think it was Francis's helmet, knocks it right out of the grasp.
Now to try and tie it up, here's Al Del Greco. 32-yard field goal. Roby will hold. We are tied at 20. Interesting, Pat. This is the 56th game between these two teams. And in those 56 games, only 59 points separate Houston and Cincinnati. Waits his next chance with the football, but in the meantime, he's going to watch as the Bengals get ready to return the kick of Al Del Greco. 20-20 ball game. Corey Sawyer, David Dunn. Wait for the kick. That's Dunn to the left. 13:27 remaining in this one. Sawyer at the 9. Good return out to the 33-yard line, and the tackle made by Josh Evans. Well, when we came out of the break leading into the quarter, you saw that graphic that the running backs for Cincinnati have averaged 1.9 yards in the fourth quarter, but Garrison Hurst playing very well so far tonight.
Yeah, 74 yards tonight. Had 71 yards last week on 10 carries, and again, one of their goals, and they have to figure it out pretty quickly, these Bengals, is who is going to be that running back, and it looks more and more like it's going to be Garrison Hurst.
He's on the field on first down and 10 in a 20-20 game. Derek Brills, the center, will snap it back to Jeff Blake. That's Sadowski. Here's the toss, and Sadowski helps clear the way as Hurst goes left and gets it out to the 37-yard line. Blaine Bishop, number 23, makes the tackle.
You know, Verne, it didn't work out for Garrison Hurst in Arizona, obviously, but I remember when he came out in 1993, teams were salivating over Garrison Hurst. Everybody wanted this guy, and went to Arizona, had an injury, gotten, as everybody seemed to, Buddy Ryan's doghouse for a while. It was a very crowded doghouse, if you will recall.
2nd and 7. Quick burst, and that's going to be a first down at the 45-yard line. Go back, Pat, to his circumstance at Arizona. He really was victimized by the salary cap.
Yeah.
They asked him to renegotiate and take a lower salary, and he said no.
And then the Bengals were one of the few teams that had room under the cap, and he's making the most of the opportunity here.
He's making the most money in the opportunity. A couple of million a year.
Well, I think in the fourth quarter in particular, we saw earlier how bad they did run the football. And in close ball games, this is in particular where you need to run the ball well.
1st and 10. Blake. Oh, boy. Michael Barrow.
That's 6.
Oh.
At least he had 6.
Yeah, that may have been 12.
Yeah. Michael Barrow's right here. You talk about getting a read on it. Again, linebackers, they catch passes in practice every day, but it's usually linebacker coaches throwing the balls, and they're kind of lobs. And I think they're never really quite accustomed to the velocity that NFL quarterbacks throw the ball. And that ball should have been caught, and he would have scored.
2nd and 10. Try it again. Tony McGee. That'll be another Cincinnati first down. McGee came in with only 9 catches for the season, and tonight he's caught 3.
Yeah, Jeff Blake can kind of adjust his throw from time to time to get the ball around defenders. Dave Craig did that for years and years, kind of adjusted throw, sometimes throw it sidearm, sometimes over the top. Well, Jeff Blake, when there's people around him, he can move his motion and his arm around to adjust to those big hands.
Another first down after the 11-yard gain. David Dunn checks in as a 3rd wide receiver. Whoops. Anthony Cook, number 78, came across the neutral zone. Now, help me out, my lawyer friend. Is this going to be encroachment?
I believe it is. What are my choices?
Number 79.
I thought you were going to give me choices.
Well, I was going to. Jerry Austin just with no flair for the dramatic.
You only gave me one. I went with it first. A. And we all know C is always the answer.
Yeah, of course it is. 1st and 5. Hurst back in. So is Jeff Cothran for Cincinnati.
This has been the best second half the Bengals have played this year.
Backs in the eye. Quick flip. Oh, Carl Pickens.
Good night. Yeah.
Yep.
Takedown.
Darrell Lewis, number 29, was right there.
So you give Pickens the cushion, again, because of his great strength. But, boy, I tell you, Darrell Lewis has had a great year this year, as he has his entire 6 year. A Pro Bowl receiver, 3 interceptions. And when he gets his hands on the ball, he returns them for touchdowns. 16 career interceptions. 4 of those he's returned for touchdowns.
2nd down and 4. Draw play. Hurst tries to test the middle.
Ouch.
Derek Brill's first offensive teammate there, but a lot of Oilers.
This now becomes a very important 3rd down for the Houston Oiler defense. Score tied at 20. If they're able to pick up this 1st down, they'll work themselves into field goal range at least. So Jeff Fisher, a very defensive-minded coach, an aggressive defensive coach, this is the time he likes to bring people and bring linebackers.
The enemy is in the backfield. 2 wide receivers to the right. Dunn and Pickens. Here comes the all-out blitz, and they slip it to the enemy, and they get the quick opener. What a way to beat the blitz.
Just as Ronnie Harmon did it earlier in the game for the Oilers, and you're right, Michael Barrow on the outside. And again, when you play a team twice a year, you sure know their tendencies. That's the outside linebacker on the blitz. A little give inside to the enemy, right where the blitzing linebacker had come. And a good, powerful run ends up in a really important 1st down for the Bengals, because now they're in field goal range.
1st down and 10. And Kajana Carter, number 32, is in the backfield. He's carried twice tonight for 3 yards. Blake will throw. Darnay Scott at the 27-yard line. We were talking with Joe Walter yesterday, the veteran right tackle. He's a 12-year man and has supplied the blocking for Jeff Blake. He said he really thought Jeff Blake was trying too hard, that there was doubt in this team, and that Blake just needed to take some of the underneath stuff, not go deep every time. Cothran and Hurst are back in. 2nd and 6. Another quick opener, and how about the way they're using Jeff Cothran tonight?
Yeah, 3 times in this half. I don't think he carried the ball at all the 1st half. 3 times. Once on the opening drive of the 2nd half, and right here when they get inside the scoring range again. He is the fullback. Everybody thinks the tailback's going to get the ball. They overrun it because the tailback had gone outside. And Bruce Coslett's got a nice little mix going of fullback and halfback, and using his tight end, his wide receivers.
Coslett, of course, a former Bengal tight end himself, and came here having been relieved of his duties as the head coach of the New York Jets, joining a very long list of people in that corral. And here's McGee, fighting for yardage down at the 1. Tony McGee.
Yeah, it is a 1st down, Tony. And once again, Jeff Blake very patiently, just like you were talking about, finding the underneath guys. He's one of the great deep ball throwers in the NFL, is Jeff Blake. But you have to be more versatile than that and dump the ball off from time to time. He has with success to McGee tonight. I mean, the big long plays are fun to watch, Verne, but they don't come often enough. And that's why you have to learn to be patient and throw the ball underneath.
1st and goal. Blake, fade pattern, right side. Darnay Scott, touchdown! on for the extra point. Jeff Blake, now 14 of 30. He had really anemic numbers at halftime. The extra point is up and good, and Blake has come alive. Take a look at the touchdown, Pat.
Yeah, both the defenders go right here for Pickens, and it leaves Darnay Scott wide open for his 4th reception in this second half. In the first half, he had none.
That's what happens when you get Slim Pickens. Jeff Blake, and when he does smile, he really becomes a handsome young man. Touchdown toss, his first of the night. And the Bengals are in the lead. Here's Mel Gray. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's a foot race, and Johnson's chasing him. And Mel Gray, one more man to beat, and he got him. He was that close, 9 yards from his 7th kickoff return of his career. Greg Myers got him.
Unbelievable. You know, prior to that kickoff return, Verne, he had 175 yards before this 88-yard return. You do the math for me. 175 before this 88-yard return. And again, there's no accident. I mean, he just keeps doing it. I mean, first he had great vision like good running backs do. The strength, he kind of breaks one tackle. And then the saving tackle by Greg Myers. But 175 yards prior to that 88-yard return. This guy is absolutely a weapon. 3 punt returns for 86 yards. You can see the average. And 5 kickoff returns. That is one phenomenal evening for Mel Gray.
All of this at the age of 35.
Boy. You know, and just when you think the Bengals, you know, have the game in hand, Mel Gray turns the tables on. And great special teams players can do that.
His last kickoff return for a touchdown was in 1994. He had 3 that year, and he was within 10 yards of number 7 for his career. Draw play. Eddie George, about 3 yards. And we have 6:15 remaining in this one.
Well, the good offensive teams in the NFL today not only have good special teams players like Mel Gray, but the good offensive teams, when they get down inside the 10, can either run it in or they can throw it in. And with Eddie George, they have a power back that can get it in, and they've got strong wide receivers to be able to throw it in.
2nd and 7. 2nd and goal from the 7. Chandler looking left all the way into the end zone, deep, tipped away, incomplete. Jimmy Spencer again, got a thumb on it.
You love these themes, don't you?
I am a Scandinavian theme park.
Yeah, and keep that thumb away from that high five. And trying to hit their big, strong receiver, Sanders inside, and that's just beautifully played by Spencer. No pass interference, gets the right hand out of the way.
That was an incomplete pass, and the clock is still running. Jeff Fisher beside himself on the sideline. There is a touchdown to Derek Russell. But Jeff Fisher had his mind on the clock. It never stopped.
It's moot at this point. Would have been fun to kind of see the Oilers go for a 2-point play, but with 5:05, they're going to kick the extra point. It has been a day of 2-point plays in the NFL. 8 of them attempted today, 7 successfully.
Love those 2-pointers.
God, I do. I really do. But this is going to be a 1-point attempt.
And I wonder if they'll go back and look at the play-by-play and determine how much time ran off the clock that should not have. The clock shows 5:05 remaining in the game, and it never did stop after the incomplete pass to play by Spencer. But Russell got the touchdown from Chandler. And go back and take a look at the touchdown.
I'll tell you, it started once again with really good protection. This Houston offensive line has done a good job. Sawyer beaten badly in the corner by Russell. We got a tie ball game and a good ball game.
Back at Synergy Field, where the Houston Oilers have tied it up 27-27, and during the timeout, 10 seconds put back on the clock. And the clock kept running during the incomplete pass. Here was Jeff Fisher as his team was huddling for a play that would result in a touchdown. But he couldn't get the attention of the officiating crew. The clock continued to run. 10 seconds ran off, and Fisher was in that vein while the touchdown was scored by the Houston Oilers. Here is David Dunn out to the 29-yard line.
The most valuable player, though, for the Houston Oilers tonight, in my book, has been Mel Gray. I mean, he has really set this team up with excellent field position.
His 88-yard, there he is. His 88-yard kickoff return set up the touchdown toss. Chandler, Derek Russell.
You know, I think guys block better for return guys they know can go the distance like that. I think he gets better blocking because there's a lot of hope by the guys up front.
First and 10, 27 all, 5:06 to go. Real quick toss left side to Carl Pickens, number 81.
Well, they ran that play on the other side against Darrell Lewis and got squat. Absolutely zero, nada. This time, he picks up, a good, 6 yards against the other corner, Chris Dishman. Thinking this is a big, strong receiver, like a fullback after he catches the ball. Pushes Dishman for 5 yards.
Nearing the 4:45 mark, 2nd and 5. Garrison Hurst, oh boy, that was close. Almost broke it. Tripped up as he gets to the 36-yard line. And another big third down play now for the Bengals.
And last time Eric Bieniemy on one of those big third down plays had a little inside trap and ran the football. He's back in the ball game. This is one of their versatile players, special teams captain, third down back.
3rd and 3. Tie game. No blitz. Incomplete pass.
Boy, did Baron Wortham read that one. I mean, he knew that Jeff Blake was going to go to his tight end, Tony McGee. And Wortham, the middle linebacker, was all over it like a cat on Velcro.
Nice visual.
Yeah, right here. Imagine that cat on Velcro. He sees it, reads it. And again, just the velocity, I think, of the pass surprised these linebackers. They have to have some hard passes thrown at them next week, I think.
Malcolm Floyd is back. They're going to rest Mel Gray. Here is Lee Johnson. And Malcolm Floyd, who has not returned to punt this year, will not take this opportunity. Floyd lets it fall to the earth in front of him. Oilers get it back. 3:53 remaining. In a tie ball game, Houston and Cincinnati. The Oilers 2-2 coming in. The Bengals 1-3. Both teams with such high expectations. First meeting between the two this year. And any division game worth its double the weight.
Yeah, and this is a get-well game for the team that wins this. Because both these teams need to get well.
1st and 10. Draw play, Eddie George. That takes him to a new career high, a career that's only in his 5th game. But he has now carried 23 times for 146 yards. And as you took a look at the Slate scoreboard. Second down and 7. 3:25. Willie Davis comes near side. Chris Sanders, top of the screen. Chandler gets good protection and finds Wycheck at the 30-yard line. It's not going to be enough for the first down.
How about Brett Favre again today? Threw 4 touchdown passes today. I think it gives him 20 on the year.
Yeah, and he had 1 call back because of a penalty.
Well, once again, a very critical third down. And it's interesting, Eddie George is in the ball game and not Ronnie Harmon.
3rd and 1. Eddie George.
A face mask.
They tried to strip the ball.
I thought somebody got his face mask.
Gerald Dixon, number 51, was the first man there.
That is good short yardage defense, but it looked like someone got a hand on his face mask, Verne. But
Jerry Austin is going to bring the chains out, or the chain. And here is the stretch.
Give me a ball. Give me a ball.
Nope.
yeah, well, good short yardage defense. And there were a bunch of black jerseys on the other side of the ball. Bobbled snap. Again, that was not a face mask. Just a good tackle by 51 Dixon.
And now Dave Shula's team will get the ball back in a tie ball game with 2:19 to go. Shula, you see, wants to use one of these timeouts. And time has been granted. Well, Dave Shula became the youngest head coach in the National Football League at the age of 32. He signed a 5-year contract when he replaced Sam Weish. He's in the final year of his contract, and he knows the kind of pressure he's under.
This is a big year for us. I'm in the last year of my contract. I understand that, and we haven't had success here in recent years. We've got to get it done this year. What else can you say?
Well, his record coming in 19-49. That is the worst record among coaches who have coached 68 games in this league in the history of the National Football League. So a question of whether he gets his 20th win first or his 50th loss first. And it's an unfair comparison, but inevitable. His dad, of course, Don at Miami, didn't lose his 50th game as head coach in Miami until David Shula had gone from kindergarten through college.
Kind of a burden for one to carry,
isn't it, though? Roby, not a good one. But it takes a fortuitous bounce for the Oilers and goes out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Well, what a terrific game we've had tonight, and we expect more of the same a week from now. Next Sunday here on TNT, quarterback Vinny Testaverde leads the Baltimore Ravens as head coach Ted Marchibroda returns to Indianapolis to take on the 4-1 Colts Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern, the NFL on TNT. All right, Coach.
Well, I noticed that Kajana Carter's in the ball game right now, Verne, and if he is going to really get his career going, now is the time to kind of begin to establish yourself when your team really needs you in a tie ball game.
1st and 10. Draw play, Carter. Bieniemy, beg pardon.
Yeah, the Bengal defense did a great job of stuffing Eddie George on that 3rd down play. And now it's up to Jeff Blake, Eric Bieniemy, and the rest of these guys to finish it off.
1:58 reappearing seconds on the clock tonight. 2 more were found missing and reestablished. So we're at the 2-minute warning.
Why in the heck can't I find all my lost socks? You know, we find time. One of these days we're going to find them all in one place, I'm sure.
Yes, and none of us want to know where that might be.
I got more.
In the second half tonight, 14 points for the Bengals. 97 rushing yards and 80 passing, so they've improved dramatically. But they find themselves tied in the 2nd down and 4. Here comes the blitz. Blake knows it's coming. Carl Pickens got by Chris Dishman and picks up a 1st down at the 40. Robertson was there to help, number 31. But Blake did a nice job knowing the blitz was coming.
Yeah, and Carl Pickens extends your strike zone because he's so big.
Blitz again. Blake steps up. He'll run. Houston. The Bengals have 2 timeouts left. They'll not use one here.
A big cushion for Scott.
Blake scrambles, hustles for the sidelines, first down, and he kills the clock.
Well, what Jeff Blake has to be thinking about is a couple things with just 1:09 remaining. Is first of all get this team at least in a position for a field goal attempt. Now, Doug Pelfrey's career long is 54 yards. So you're thinking, hey, get yourself 10, 15 yards. You can't take a sack. You cannot turn the ball over. And then ideally you want to use as much of that 1:09 in getting there as you can.
And he managed to keep a timeout in his back pocket with that play. They have 2 left. Blake back this time, no blitz. They pull it out from John Carter.
Oh, boy.
And they lose yardage back to the 45-yard line. Nope, no. Incomplete pass. No catch.
No, they got a break there.
1:02 to go.
He has had great success tonight on some of these important downs, getting his tight end the ball, Tony McGee.
Now we've got a little conversation taking place among the officiating crew.
Seems to happen in our games. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm. I noticed we had one last Sunday night. It lasted about 6 minutes. In New York, when they discussed whether or not Keyshawn Johnson had caught a pass or had it taken away. I'm wondering now if they're talking about the possibility that was a lateral.
Or a backwards pass, yeah.
Garrison Hurst comes in. David Schuler.
Forward and incomplete.
Okay.
Second down.
That was a discussion, though. And Kajana Carter comes to the bench. Garrison Hurst into the ball game. Jeff Fisher will continue to plead his belief that that was a lateral. 1:02 to go. And it's second down and 10. Interesting call. Josh Evans, number 91, makes the tackle. The Bengals use a timeout. They have 1 left.
Well, just when it seemed they were about 10 yards away from field goal range, the Oilers defense does a good job. I mean, double covers the outside guys, and then you ordinarily think, hey, let's go to the tight end, Tony McGee, a guy who has had some success tonight for the Bengals. He's got 4 catches.
Well, they didn't gain anything. Look at this. This is amazing. Kajana Carter, Garrison Hurst, the 2 running backs for the Bengals, are number 1 and number 2 in the NFL in numbers of carry for 0 or lost yardage.
42% of Kajana Carter's carries and 36% of Hurst's. That is remarkable.
That's coming into the game. Kajana Carter had 45 carries, 19 of which were 0 or negative. Garrison Hurst was 9 of 25. Third down.
Need about 15 yards, really. Yeah, Darnay Scott caught 0 passes in the first half, but he has really come on this second half. That is now his 5th catch and has over 50 yards in receptions.
Blake kills the clock. No, he does. The clock is still running.
Well, he did kill it. We got a clock problem again.
Either that or a clock operator with a very slow finger.
It's still running. He downed the ball. That shouldn't be happening. What's going on?
I would say some sort of malfunction, would you not?
Here we go. You don't want the home operator doing that. You expect that on the road.
Oh, you see this in basketball. Old quick finger. Been there for 64 years. The home team calls him Uncle.
We've all been there.
There was 27 seconds on the clock when the quarterback downed the ball. Please reset the clock.
Well done,
27
Jerry.
seconds. Thank you.
I would say whoever is operating this clock is hopeful that there's a malfunction. So we're back to 27 seconds. And the ball at the 24-yard line. 2nd down and 10. 27 seconds left. And the Bengals do have 1 timeout left.
And sometimes it's hand signals. That time Darnay Scott is signaling to Jeff Blake, I think I can beat him inside. And indeed he did. Big, tall receiver. Jeff Blake looks off to his left first. They get linebackers out of the way.
Try and position themselves for a field goal attempt to the 24-yard line, and a flag is down. Oh, this will be important.
That's way over on the other side of the field.
And it's at the 11-yard line. See, Fisher thinks it might be holding.
There is no foul on the play. Number 61 has reported as eligible. Therefore, the formation was legal.
Okay.
That's Melvin Tootin, the left tackle.
The right call. Doug Pelfrey. He's kicked 4 game-winning field goals in his career.
And having a good season this year. 7 of 8 coming in. And he is hit 2 tonight. Timeout, Houston. And Jeff Fisher uses one of his timeouts. He has 2 left, and that stops the clock. 10 seconds left.
These are the agonizing moments for coaches. I mean, you've done all that you can. You know that you're already in field goal range, and disappointing ones for quarterbacks as well.
Yeah, Doug Pelfrey signed a new 5-year contract with the Bengals this summer. Grew up, as we said, just a 10-minute drive from this stadium and wanted to stay here. He explored the free agent market, but really with some degree of disinterest. He and his family live here and wanted to stay.
About a 42-yard attempt from here, Verne. Certainly in his range.
Now Jeff Blake comes on. What do you do on this play? Just keep it on the ground?
Absolutely. With the timeout remaining, sure. And you have your ball carrier get both hands around the ball.
Blake, timeout is called with 7 seconds left. Now David Shula
he is
irate.
really upset. You know, I think what he's upset about is he has the quarterback carry the ball, and he's generally the one calling the timeouts. And his quarterback was buried in a defensive pile right there. And I think that's what he's upset about.
Watch Shula on the sideline.
Yeah, he's afraid the clock's going to run out. You get it? They did get it stopped at 7 seconds.
Well, it's Doug Pelfrey time at Synergy Field. Greg Truitt is the man who will snap it back. Lee Johnson is the guy who will hold it. We carry our own signs, right?
I hope we didn't make that one.
And here's the attempt at the game winner. Oh, he missed it wide right.
Boy, for coach 1-3, last year of his contract, desperate for a win, that's a killer. 1 loss is good for the soul. 4 losses is very bad for the coach.
Time has expired. Take another look at it.
Wasn't the hold, wasn't the snap. Boy, he didn't miss by much, but he pushed it right.
Jeff Fisher realizing that he's got new life. We're going to overtime. Second OT game of the day. It's almost as if David Shula knew when it left Pelfrey's foot it was not destined to be good. Cincinnati will have the ball. The enemy to call it. So when we return to Cincinnati, the Bengals will have the first chance in OT. We are tied at 27. All right, Houston and Cincinnati. This series tied between these two teams. And Doug Pelfrey really in a state of distress. Just played it a little too far to the right.
Well, the toughest thing, he may have a shot on this next drive to do it again. And so, you know, you have to keep a good head. It's tough for a kicker.
Al Del Greco, this will be returned. It's short. And taken by David Dunn at the 11-yard line. Good return out to the 33-yard line. And here comes Jeff Blake and the Bengal offense.
Well, this has been a very strong second half for this Bengal team. And Jeff Blake has thrown the ball particularly well to a variety of receivers. He's used his tight ends. He's used Darnay Scott a lot, particularly in clutch situations.
1st and 10. Backs in the eye, caught from the short man. Garrison Hurst is the running back. He gets the handoff. Out to the 38 or 39-yard line. James Robertson, number 90, makes the tackle. This is just as if we were playing in the fourth quarter, and now here's an unpleasant sight for Cincinnati. Garrison Hurst limping off.
Yeah, same ankle. It looked like he limped off once earlier in the ball game. He's had a nice night, nice evening.
Second down and 5. Conference. Here's Bieniemy. Out to the 41 and another third down for the Bengals.
Yeah, and they've been clutch on third downs in this second half. And a variety of guys have done it. And Eric Bieniemy is protecting the ball first. That's a face mask penalty. Should have been. Wasn't called. But he protects the ball in these critical situations. But they've used a variety of players on third downs. They've used Darnay Scott in this second half, Carl Pickens, and even Tony McGee.
3rd and 3. Blitz. Blake finds a man. First down, Cincinnati. Darnay Scott again.
Yeah, and another inside route. And a flag down. Cincinnati's changed it up because the Oilers expected Darnay Scott to run all outside routes.
Pass interference, number 82 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat third down.
Well, I think David Shula may have a legitimate gripe here. Here's McGee, number 82, the tight end. They call offensive pass interference. You cannot block someone when the ball is in the air. That doesn't really, to me, classify as a block. But they call that offensive pass interference. Boy, in overtime, you know, penalties are even more important.
Oh. And that gives them a third down and 12. Scott goes wide left. Blake back, looks deep, settles short. Bieniemy. But it will be fourth down from the 36-yard line.
And Mel Gray now becomes the most important guy in this stadium. I mean, certainly for the Houston Oilers. He is not coming in. Boy, that's a bad break for the Oilers. Remember, he got injured in that one 88-yard kickoff return after he had about a gazillion yards on returns tonight.
So that brings Malcolm Floyd back into play. Gray on the bench with a bad elbow. And Malcolm Floyd, who has yet to return a punt this season, is back to wait for Lee Johnson's effort. Wow. Nice and high. And Floyd at the 18. Oh!
Ouch!
How did he hang on? Corey Sawyer delivered the blow. Ouch!
Oh. You're right. How did he hold on to that thing? Malcolm Floyd. I mean, just have a look. Boy. There wasn't much time separation between when the ball got there and Corey Sawyer did. Just remarkable that he's able to hold on to that thing. I think it was actually pinned to his chest by Sawyer.
1st and 10, Houston. Remarkable that Floyd retained possession. Chandler with one back. George. And time is called.
Prior to the snap, ball start, number 89, 5 yards. It's still first down.
That's Frank Wycheck.
Well, Houston has to go 80 yards right now. You see what they've done? They've only scored 14% of the time touchdowns, only 17% on any kind of score. So clearly the odds are way against an 80-yard drive.
1st and 15. Chandler, Wycheck. That's good for a gain of 6.
A nice gain of 6, but what Chris Chandler needs right now is a play from his wide receivers. Now, Davis has not caught a pass all evening long, and Sanders has only caught 2. And right now, he needs one of those guys to step up.
Here's Willie Davis. Sanders wide to the right. 2nd and 12. Play action. Chandler goes deeper to rush the middle of the crossing route. And here's Willie Davis.
I'll tell you, just when you need a clutch guy to step up, you get it. He's been shut out all evening. He's only had a couple balls thrown his way. But on probably the most critical route he's run all evening, he catches a well-thrown ball by Chris Chandler for a 43-yard gain. Beautiful play.
The Davis catch came on 2nd down and 12. The gain was 43. The line of scrimmage is now the 47. Eddie George tests the middle on his 25th carry of the night, and that puts him over 150 yards.
Well, he had a real long run, the 45-yard run for a touchdown this second half, but other than that, he's been rather quiet. But here is where you want Eddie George to be rather loud so he can set up that man, Al Del Greco.
Del Greco's career long was 54 yards. That back in 1992. Chandler into the flat. Eddie George. 1st down, Houston at the 37.
Boy, and he got those last 2 yards by effort and power, Verne. I mean, most running backs are going to get stopped short. Another bad. Sorry about that circle, Verne. It's really bad tonight. But most guys get stopped right about there. He just runs right over the linebacker, Dixon.
1st and 10. Ronnie Harmon's in the backfield. Run blitz. Eddie George tests the middle, gets inside the 35.
You better secure that ball with both hands, too. At this point in the game, Eddie George or any running back, the first thing you're thinking about is don't turn it over.
Well, if they don't gain another yard and they hold on to the football, it would be a 52-yarder from this spot.
They need another 5 yards, I think, to give Al Del Greco a reasonably good shot.
2nd and 8. Chandler into the flat. Jimmy Spencer makes the tackle on Willie Davis, but they got 3 more.
Two key catches by Willie Davis on this drive. One for 43, that one only for about 4 yards, but may have put his team in field goal position with that catch. And once again, we've talked about it before. This is where Ronnie Harmon, on these third down situations, you defend him first, I think.
3rd and 4. Ronnie Harmon stuffed at the line of scrimmage, so it will be a lengthy attempt.
He may have lost a half a yard, maybe a yard. And remember, Del Greco had a kick blocked last week.
In the opener against Kansas City, the Houston Oilers had a chance to win. A 56-yard attempt by Al Del Greco. High snap from Bruce Matthews, and the kick never got there. That ended a string of 18 straight field goals made by Del Greco. Now he has a chance to win for his team again. 49 yards out. Timeout called by Cincinnati.
You know, one thing, Reggie Roby, this is his first year as a holder. You know, and these guys go through clutch situations and pressure situations, but this is a new one, a different kind of pressure for Reggie Roby.
At the half, if they win this ball game, it will be the first time they have come from behind to win in the second half since December 5th, 1993 against Atlanta. Jeff Fisher looks on. Bruce Matthews will snap it. Reggie Roby will hold it. Del Greco will kick it from 49 yards away for the victory. Oh, he got it. It was a knuckleball. And Jeff Fisher and the Houston Oilers have come on the road. They dodge a shotgun when Pelfrey misses at the gun in regulation from 42. And Willie Davis's 43-yard grab on a 2nd down and 12 sets up the Oilers for the victory.
One kicker misses, one kicker makes. The Oilers are right back in the hunt, and the Bengals are struggling again.
That one started left and came back right.
Yeah.
Al Del Greco with the game winner from 49.